Um, Welcome to Mighty Champions Live. And today, last week, we covered Module 1, which was Know Yourself, Grow Yourself. And for the week, we tried to understand what that meant neurologically in terms of behaviors, practice. And today, we are starting the new week. We are moving on to Module 2 of the 11 modules that we have in Mighty Champions. And this one is called Be the Boss of Your Reactions. And we know that we can all carry invisible mental loads. So through the week, we will understand what it means to be the boss of our reactions. And we'll also learn and practice tools to manage our own emotional states without adding to the load, adding to our stress. So, once again, welcome to today's session. And at the end of the session, there's always time to share your learnings or to ask any questions if you may have. So yeah, starting with day one, and we're trying to understand why am I so reactive sometimes. Um, Through the session, we'll also be sort of understanding that reactions are not personal failures. Our nervous system is responding automatically to stress, overload, and perceived threat. So, we'll get a bit into the neuroscience of emotional activation. And as we do, we'll learn and we'll practice the power of the pause. So then, inviting you, and if possible, just arriving to this time that we'll be spending together, bringing your mind, your breath to the moment. If possible, you can close your eyes or lower your gaze, and just taking a minute to connect with yourself, with the body, with the breath. And while you do that, maybe asking yourself, have you ever reached a point where one small thing felt like too much? Have you ever reached a point where one small thing felt like too much? Now, some examples could be someone's tone, it could be a message, something like a small criticism, another demand, being interrupted, someone needing something from you. So, something small happened, and perhaps you reacted to it, in a way disproportionately now that you think about it. So suddenly you either shut down, you could have a big reaction, or you felt anxious, overwhelmed, emotionally exhausted. Just making a note of that for yourself if if you have run into a moment like that. And what we're trying to do together today is more than working on emotional regulation, we're learning how to stay connected to ourselves during emotional intensity. So, as your intention to learn today, you could complete the sentence. Today, I want to better understand my reactions when I feel, and filling that in for yourself. Some examples could be when I feel overwhelmed, when I feel criticized, ignored, when I feel stressed, anxious, exhausted. So today I want to better understand my reactions when I feel, and you could either type that in the chat or just make a note of it for yourself. So, trying to now understand what happens with the brain when we encounter something that feels too big in that moment, or when we come across something that triggers us, activates us. So what the brain is doing at this time is that the brain is perceiving threat, and when the brain perceives threat, it very actively, very rapidly activates this area of the brain, which is called the amygdala. And stress hormones, they begin moving through the body within milliseconds. So we're not even aware that so much is going on in the body, in the mind, to prepare to either fight or flee, to defend ourselves, shut down. And we'll also often, see that before we know, our heart is already beating faster, our breath has already become shorter, and we feel tight in the body. We are ready to take that on. And um, um, it's only later that you feel like, oh, maybe that reactivity came out of nowhere, and uh, and we think that it's just that one single moment that created it, but most emotional reactions are not created by a single moment. And very often reactions happen when the nervous system is already carrying stress. So for instance, if you're already carrying mental exhaustion, if there are unresolved emotions, you've not rested well, you could be overstimulated, there's emotional overload, maybe you have a feeling of constant responsibility. And then one small thing happens and the entire system reacts. So, somebody asks you for one more thing at the end of a long day, and suddenly you snap. Because what's happening is it wasn't that the request itself was enormous, but perhaps the nervous system had already reached its capacity. So then, when we think of that, we can also try and understand what is happening to the brain when it is under stress. So, when strong emotions are arising, the brain is releasing stress chemicals. So there is more adrenaline, there is more cortisol. And these chemicals, when they are released by the brain, they affect our thinking, they affect our perception, they affect decision making, they affect emotional regulation. So at this time, when the mind is under stress, the mind becomes, in a way narrower, problem feels bigger, reactions become faster, perspective becomes smaller. And this is why emotionally activated states can feel so consuming, because so much is going on. And and as I mentioned, the amygdala is the brain's alarm system. Its job is to alert us to any kind of threat, any kind of danger. And it's wanting to protect us because that's his job. So now, in order to do its job really well, it reacts quickly, because if there is actually a real threat, it doesn't have that much time to think through it, prepare itself, and it gets activated like before we know it, and before deeper reflection becomes possible. So that's what the amygdala is doing. The amygdala is not taking any time. It's acting almost in real time, and and it's not giving us enough time to really think through things, to understand, to make up our mind, to assess. It is acting in the moment. It just wants to protect us. Now, how do we counter that? So there's another part of the brain called the prefrontal cortex, and this is the thoughtful part of the brain. So it helps us pause, reflect, regulate. It helps us consider consequences. So while the amygdala is activating action, action, our body, our mind, it's preparing everything, within milliseconds. What the prefrontal cortex is doing It can help us think about, consider things more deeply, reflect, but it gets activated or it comes online more slowly. So, this is the heart of today's session that we're doing together. That uh, the pause that we're talking about, it's not passive, and it is working neurologically. So, one slow, conscious breath can change the chemistry of the nervous system. And why? Because what it is doing is that when we slow down, when we pause, when we breathe, it's giving the mind the signal that it's not under threat. It can calm down, and it activates then the part of the nervous system that can calm us. It slows down the stress chemistry. It gives the prefrontal cortex time to return. So 2 seconds can completely change the direction of a moment. And which is why the pause can be so powerful, when we really think about it, not just as sometimes, we think that meditation is for other people, and um I cannot sit down, I can't do it. But this is not even talking about, taking hours to sit on a mat and practice breathing. It's just about taking a few moments before you say something, or before you feel something so intensely and react to it. It's just giving your time a few breaths, uh, so that the prefrontal cortex can activate itself and you get a chance to think through what you want to say or do. And uh, and what this also tells us that we we can tend to think, why am I like this? And we can take it very personally, that I, I can't control what I say, or when I'm angry, I can get furious. But um, we we don't really learn how to regulate emotions early on. It's not something that most people are ever taught. So we come almost, we come with this expectation from others to be able to handle our emotions without being shown how. So when we become aware of how the brain works, when we become aware of how we can, any of us, all of us can actually do it, that's the beginning of our learning. So, um, just for, self assessment, or being able to practice um, self regulation, emotional regulation, a good question to think about could be, what situations trigger emotional reactivity in you most quickly? And you can make a note of that for yourself. What situations trigger emotional reactivity in you most quickly? Could be exhaustion, just as examples, emotional invalidation, maybe criticism, feeling controlled, feeling dismissed, being overwhelmed. What situations can trigger emotional reactivity in you most quickly?
Are you looking for our answers?
Yes, if you would like to share, then please do.
Uh, I have noted that sometimes if somebody is being unreasonable
Mm.
or illogical,
Mm.
it creates something in me and
Something like
triggers,
what?
like I'm trying to control my anger. So
Mm.
it used to be I'll get angry. A good
Mm.
example will be a child of mine will say something to somebody which
Mm.
hurts that person's feeling.
Mm.
And I can't believe you're my daughter.
Yeah,
and,
yeah. So it
and
makes you angry, right?
yes, and
As you say.
it still hurts them.
Mm.
And they're, my children are not children anymore. They are 54 and 48.
Mm.
And it does definitely, I see that now. Thank you.
Mm. Thanks for sharing that.
Mhm.
Yeah. So as you know, Lalita shared, when we feel there's something that it's not something we like, people are doing something we don't appreciate, it can make us angry. It can bring up sometimes, withdrawal, frustration, anxiety, anger, defensiveness. But awareness can do a lot. And the first step would be to notice these patterns without immediately judging your reaction and judging yourself. Because all of us, as we've learned, are designed in a way to react to something which we feel is different from how we like things to be. And and if they are very different, then the brain is not liking it. So it just wants to control the situation. It wants to react and get things right, very quickly. However, later on we might feel that okay, maybe I didn't have to say 10 sentences, I could have just said one. Or maybe it wasn't the appropriate time. And but the next time it happens, we might end up doing the same thing again. So awareness means that, yeah, we recognize that this is happening. We recognize that these are the specific triggers that activate something in me, and we can work
I,
specifically with those.
I want to add something.
Yeah.
On the other end, if you're on the receiving end, like my children started telling me, Mom, it hurts us when you
Yeah.
say this. So now I'm not saying as much. So I
Hmm.
think if somebody's saying something and you don't like
Hmm.
it,
Hmm.
maybe in private we should tell them
Yeah.
so that it doesn't trigger them.
Yeah.
On the other
Yeah.
hand,
Yeah.
yeah,
And we also learn that when we ourselves have taken some time to think about it before talking about it, the words may come out differently.
yeah, right.
So when I react to something that's being done, immediately my reaction could be a bit more magnified, exaggerated, than maybe if I speak about the same thing after 2 hours when I've had a chance to think about it.
So
So,
right, so true.
so right now, and in both cases, it doesn't mean that you will start feeling like, oh, what happened was correct. You might still feel like, I don't agree with what's happened. But the way you express would be different. And that's the intent of our session, that we are just trying to make ourselves more sure, or give ourselves that grace to think about, consider things, and then take action or decision. So um so again, emotional regulation is not uh, perfection. It doesn't mean that we'll stop feeling hurt or angry or agitated, frustrated. It doesn't mean that. It just means that we can return to ourselves during difficult moments. We can stay collected, and we can stay graceful in whatever situation there is, because we give ourselves some time to process what's happened and then address it. Yeah. So um, as we do, we can together practice creating a pause. And for that practice, I'd invite you to sit comfortably, and if possible today, close your eyes or just lower your gaze, and feel connected to your body. Feel connected to your breath. Maybe feel your breath in your body. So try and trace your breath. Where is it? In your belly, in your chest? You feel it in the sides of your body. not trying to judge the body, judge the breath. Meeting yourself really where you are today. This is how I am today. Nothing I want to change. And seeing if you can make the exhale a bit longer than the inhale. This is a practice that can really help us calm down in any kind of difficult situation, difficult emotions. Just making the exhale, the out breath, longer than the in breath. And as you've asked yourself, what triggers me? What kind of situations triggers me? Just making a note of it in yourself and really feeling it. And asking yourself what happens inside me when that happens. Naming the emotion. Okay, I feel angry. I feel misunderstood. And and then making almost, a kind of setting an intent for yourself, or perhaps recommitting to yourself that today I will practice pausing before reacting when I feel this way. Today I will practice pausing before reacting when, say, I feel angry, or when I feel criticized, when I feel misunderstood. Today I will practice pausing before reacting when I feel this way. And you can also think, of how can I support myself if I'm feeling this way? What will help me? How will I feel if I was my own best friend? What would I do for me? And, and feeling a sense of calm in the body, in the mind, in the breath. I'm safe. I'm secure. I'm peaceful. I am calm. I am okay. I am patient with myself and with others. I choose kindness with myself first. I forgive myself. I am learning. I notice what I feel. I am not swept away by it. I breathe first, then I decide what to do. And I deeply and completely love, honor, and accept myself. I deeply and completely love, honor, and accept myself. I deeply and completely love, honor, and accept myself. And with that, you can bring slight movement, wriggle your toes and fingers, give yourself a gentle stretch. And when you feel ready, you can open your eyes. So this is what we do, we pause, someone says something, a situation is unfolding, and it feels like there's not enough time. Before we know it, we've reacted. So how we practice the pause, just to recap it one more time, that we can feel it, we can start feeling it in our body, hot face, um, throat feels tight, constricted, and you have a very short window, in that moment, to either pause or immediately react, because the amygdala doesn't give us that much time. You can count slowly to two in your mind, and just by counting a few, one, two, three, just giving yourself those 5, 10 seconds, your prefrontal cortex is now coming online. So your reactive brain is slowing down. And in that time, maybe, if there is enough room for you to ask yourself, what would the calmer version of me do right now? You don't have to be calm. Just imagine the calmer version, and then, if you can move away, just notice how you feel. Did you respond differently? Did you feel differently? Uh, could you just give yourself a break? Let the breath return to normal. Let the body start feeling looser, softer, and yeah, that's what the intention of the practice of our session has been today. So, with that, we come to towards the end of what I had to say. If there are any questions that anyone has, you can please share them now.
I have a comment. This is my first
Yes.
session.
Okay.
Very interesting. Thank you so much. I
Thank you
wanted
for
to
joining.
attend first one before
Okay.
I tell others. Thank you so much. It's very, very
Thank you.
calming.
Yeah.
And what I like is you take one uh, topic and you're working on that. That's wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for attending. And we'll be doing, so we have 11 modules in Mighty Champions. And every week we take one module and we practice thoroughly through it, so that, people can really integrate it. And it's not just theory, but it's also something that we can practice together, and learn
So true.
together. So tomorrow we'll be exploring, how the stress that we carry can affect our reactions. So what do we do about it? So thank you, Lalita. Thank you. Thanks a
Thank
lot
you.
for joining, and
Thank you, Neha.
thank you, everyone. Mm, we'll be back
Bye bye.
tomorrow.
All
So
right.
see you, everyone.